Hey folks, everything new under the sun. Here's a practical video. Here are three things you may not have thought of that you should have on hand or can easily acquire right now, which may be very, very valuable when things go sideways. Should we get into World War III? So should supply chains collapse? Should the economy collapse, etc.? And I think number one is probably obvious, and maybe you have thought about this. But this, what you see there, is known as junk silver. Now, these are old coins that used to be, 80% silver and other concentrations. But you can also think about 3.9 silver, 4.9 silver, pure actual silver bullion. And the interest in having maybe at least a little bit of this it should be obvious to you. Number one, you can buy things with this because if there's silver in it, people know, well, silver is always going to be valuable. Even if we come to the end of the economic collapse, I'll be able to resell it. People understand there's value in it. Same with gold coins as well. People understand the value there, and they have always been known in the history of man as valuable metals. And so people will be much more willing to trade them for maybe food or other things. You can barter with them. You can trade, again, junk silver, whatever it may be, for eggs, milk, cheese, whatever it may be. The other thing is a storage of wealth. If you keep and hold on to this through economic collapse, especially for silver bullion, gold bullion. And by the way, the images that I'm going to show here are not images of anything that I have. These are stock images off the internet, for the record. But it's a storage of wealth. And when you come through the other side of whatever the disaster is, World War III, etc., then these are going to be valuable. And if we change into a new world reserve currency away from the US dollar, you'll be able to trade this bullion, silver, gold, whatever it may be, for whatever the new currency is. Or if you go to another country, you can always sell this and get whatever the dollar is, whatever the currency is in whatever country you're in. So if you have to bug out to a new country, especially in Europe or something, and floating between countries is a little bit easier, then this is something that, again, is recognized globally. Silver and gold, it's always worth something to somebody, and you'll be able to get some money out of it in whatever currency you need. The other thing is that it holds a lot of value. So it's in a small package. There's a lot of money in a small package, a lot of value. And if you need to bug out, you can take 10 ounces of silver, an ounce of gold, a couple ounces of gold in your pocket. Gold is excellent for that. A couple rounds of 1 ounce gold don't weigh a lot, but that's worth like $3,000 to $6,000. I guess depending where you live, United States, Canada, etc. It's worth a lot of money in a very small space. So if you have to bug out, you can't. Bank machines are down. Then you can take this and go to a new location, and it's going to be very valuable to you. And again, you can trade it for goods, for services, for something else, because people recognize, especially 3.9, 4.9 gold and silver bullion, they will recognize that. Most people who deal with it know how to weigh it, know how to confirm it's real gold or real silver, etc. So it's going to be very valuable. When stuff hits the fan, when stuff goes sideways, if the economy were to collapse in a disaster scenario, you can move quickly without carrying a lot of weight with that sort of thing. Now, the next thing on the list are these. And this is potentially even the case if you're not a firearms owner, especially in the United States. You'd be able to get this, I think, without a license. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these are things, much like gold and silver, which could be very handy in a supply chain collapse, in an economic collapse. And there's a number of reasons. It's not just what you think. Number one, you can trade these. You can, if someone doesn't have any ammunition for whatever the rifle is, you can trade them. I'll give you 5 of these for 2 of those, whatever it may be, and get different kinds of ammunition as well, not just what match your particular firearm. Could come in handy. Get different calibers, sizes, full metal jacket, lead tipped, hollow points. Get a buckshot and birdshot. You never know, because people are going to be looking for different things at those times, and you can be like a little mini store and say, yeah, I got what you're looking for. What are you going to give me in exchange? And these will be invaluable. This is something the homeowner is not going to be able to make on their own very easily. Now, some people do pack their own ammunition, but very few do. And so if you stockpile this, then that could give you an advantage. And I will add this. There are likely a lot of people around. Now, I have my firearms license, but there are likely a lot of people around who have firearms who may not be licensed, who may not be able to purchase ammunition. And, when stuff goes sideways, I'm not suggesting anything illegal be done. Maybe they get their firearms license, but you'll be able to provide ammunition, especially in the case of a licensed person who doesn't really know what's coming and isn't prepared. Maybe he's got a small box of 50 rounds because that's what he bought 10 years ago, and he's just slowly going through that. But then when stuff goes sideways, you realize, oh, maybe I need to go and get some food for my family with these, but I don't have enough ammunition. And so if you stored a little bit extra, you can easily sell and trade that. And that leads me to the second point. Ammunition, if you have your firearms license, is excellent, an excellent way to procure food for your family, not only for your family, but for friends. You could be the hunter of your local location, your village. Most people don't have firearms around here. Even in rural areas, a lot of people, it's not something they do. In this day and age, fewer and fewer people are getting their firearms licenses. So you could be the provider for, again, not just your family, but your friends, your family, your larger circle of family, your in-laws, but you're also your neighbors who maybe never realized, never were paying attention, aren't preppers. And that becomes a great way to also make money. You can barter, sell, and trade, maybe food, and that's what people will be looking for. And probably the most obvious thing is protection. And if you have chickens, pigs, cows, whatever it may be, livestock of any sort, ammunition is always going to be helpful for the protection of your wildlife, and of course, protection of your homestead against any other dangers that there might be out there when things go sideways, when there's civil unrest, societal collapse, World War III. You never know. So ammunition is going to be invaluable. You won't be able to buy it from the store. It's going to be in such short supply if we go into World War III. Just like during the pandemic, there is likely to be massive ammunition shortages. So get it now while it's relatively plentiful and relatively cheap. And ammunition doesn't really go bad. I mean, it does if you wait long enough. But I have ammunition that's 20, 30 years old, and as long as you store it in a cool, dry place, it's probably going to be okay for the most part. Don't take my word for it. Don't do as I do and all that. But I'm just saying it's going to store a long time. It's going to be very valuable for trade and barter. And when people need it, you're going to be able to say, oh, I have a couple extra. What would you like to give me for that? I'll take a dozen eggs, please, or I'll take a side of beef or a quarter beef, whatever, for however many rounds that you come to an agreement with. It's going to be very valuable in the last days. Very, very valuable and in very much short supply. Now, the last thing that you may or may not have thought about, again, and this, in the case where you don't consume this thing, this is still something that you should think about having on the side. And that is alcohol of some sort, liquors, that sort of thing. Not for drinking yourself, not for getting drunk yourself by any stretch, but because most of the people around you probably have some sort of affinity for it, like their beer, would like some alcohol. And when stuff goes sideways, you're not going to be able to get this. Those alcohol distribution locations are going to be ransacked, and people are going to be going crazy, and it's going to be consumed very quickly, and the production of it is not going to be there. And this is not only for making people happy and making them forget their troubles, although it does do that, and there's people who will give you a lot for something like that. If you stock this up and you don't drink it yourself, then it could be very valuable. A bottle of wine could be worth many dollars or many eggs or many pounds of meat to the right people who are looking for it. And again, it's not just to make people feel happy or something like that. In terms of the prepper mindset, this is very important. So, vodka, some of your higher percentage liqueurs, etc. Something with high alcohol percentage is very effective at killing bacteria. So, it's a great disinfectant. Anything above 60% alcohol can be used as a surgical alcohol. So you can clean wounds, etc. with this. And in absence of, bottles of alcohol, like, 100% alcohol, whatever, isopropyl, then you can use something like this in that stead. Anything above 40% alcohol can be used to disinfect wounds for first aid purposes. So this is going to be very important when stuff goes sideways. You don't want, when you're dressing wounds, you don't want bacteria to get in there. You want to kill that, and this is a great way to store it. And it's dual purpose. Isopropyl alcohol, you're not going to be able to drink. You're going to be able to barter and sell it, but you can't sell it for people to drink it, I guess, because is what I'm saying, because it's too much. But the multi-use aspects of some alcohols that you can get from the store could be very handy. And again, it's relatively cheap, and you just have to be 18 or older, where I am. To get this. So you can walk into a store, you can get some of these items, and you never know. You set it aside, it'll last for years and years and years and years, many years, and it will always be valuable to somebody sometime for some reason. It can also be used as a painkiller, of course, and that's what they used in biblical times. You talk about the sponge with sour wine given to Jesus, effectively to kill the pain for those who are sentenced to death and being beaten, etc. And so it's a great painkiller if you need it. Again, medicine is going to be in super short supply. So this is, alcohol is one thing they've used for thousands of years to do, similar sorts of things. So don't discount it as a valuable resource. You're going to be able to trade and barter this. Beer, cans of beer may be less helpful, less useful, but there will be people who will give an arm and a leg, in a way to speak, for maybe a couple of cans of beer, because they won't be able to get it. When people can't get stuff, they get grumpy. And so it's going to be a real delicacy, a real fancy occasion sort of thing if they can get their hands on a can of beer, and they're going to be willing to trade for it, because again, this is going to be valuable to that type of person. But the higher alcohol content ones are really the ones I'm thinking about. They last a very long time, and they have multiple uses, like first aid, disinfecting wounds, and that's kind of the most important part. The other thing is cooking. If your water isn't drinkable, then this is what they've used wine for thousands of years. Wine can, and other alcohols can, disinfect and make safe a supply of water. If there is a lack of water, then you can drink that as well, as an option. You can cook with it. Again, if you don't have safe water, you can cook with it. Of course, if you're cooking, you probably have a flame or something to heat it, which means you can probably boil water, which is probably your number one option. But again, alcohol serves that purpose. If you have to bug out and you can't boil water, and you don't know what the state of the streams or the water, you're talking about nuclear fallout, you talk about the Ohio train derailment, they don't know the state of their water, so they need bottled water, or they need some way to purify it. And alcohol is one of the oldest, if not the oldest way to purify water, other than boiling it. So making water safe to drink. So I will leave it there with those three things: alcohol, ammunition, and bullion, gold, silver. Three things maybe you don't have much of. Sorry, if you're a Christian, you may have different ideas about these sorts of things, but I don't think anybody can argue that when things go sideways, people are going to be looking for these things for any number of reasons. And if you're the resource for that, and they may have good reasons for wanting them, again, for ammunition, to kill food, to eat, to feed their family, for alcohol, for first aid. There's very valid reasons to have these, outside of getting drunk and taking someone's life. So these are very good things potentially very highly sought after and valuable things to have in your pantry, on your shelves, should things go sideways. So think about these things, folks. I'll leave it there for you to ponder, and you can leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know if I've missed something there, if there's another valuable item that could be of use in these last days that we're going into. Times are going to be hard and tough, and the supply chains are going to break down, and your U.S. dollar, your Canadian dollar, is not going to be worth much when things go sideways, because you won't be able to cash that in with a bank. Its value is going to go nowhere. It says, when the force of the apocalypse ride, a day's wages for your food for the day. So money is not going to be worth anything at that point in time. So if you can procure food and water yourself, and also be able to provide that ability to others, you're going to be a very important person in their lives if you have a stock of these. And I guess the one thing about ammunition and firearms licenses, you may need a way to protect these sorts of things as well. So I'm just saying, the prepper mindset, not that we hope that we need to use it, but it is just one more option, one more arrow in the quiver to deal with the current situation, to protect your family, to feed your family, and to help others as well in your local community when times are tough. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next video.